Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 65 of the Daily List Report. Today is all about YouTube. Get it? Did you see the title? It's all about YouTube. So this is a bit of a test. What I want to understand is YouTube a channel that you're interested in building content on? I'm going to give some tips today, right, as you evaluate whether or not YouTube is the right platform for you. And what I want to understand is, should this be a series? Should we keep doing this? Do you want to understand the things that we've learned over the last few months of doing this show? As a side note, my birthday is coming up and I got myself one of these. So this is a drone, if it wasn't clear already. And I'm also curious to know in the comments below, would you like to see some videos about drone photography for real estate? I'm no expert, but I've got a drone and I'm going to play around with it and I'm happy to share my learnings. So let us know if that's something that you're interested in. All right. So unless you've been under a rock, you've seen our YouTube page. You're watching this video right now on this channel. We've grown this over the last 2.5 months to about 2,000 subscribers. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we did it. Today's episode, though, is really about kind of the basic building blocks as you determine whether or not you want to create video content and whether or not YouTube is the right channel for you. So I've got a series of slides here, talking points really, and where we're going to start is what we call the why. We always start with the why. This is the most important thing at ListReports. So the first question you need to answer is, why would you do this? So there could be a lot of reasons. Maybe you've heard that you should do video and this is something that you want to try out. In my opinion, that's a sufficient why. Maybe you're particularly good at it, right? You're good at talking to people, you're good at talking on camera, and this could be an effective means by which to communicate with your customers. One of the things that's really interesting about video is what's called the long tail, right? So you get maybe a lot of engagement up front, but this is content that's going to live on. So these are additional opportunities for people within your sphere to discover who you are, to get to know you a little bit, to see your face, to have a conversation with you, maybe in the comments. And so the first thing that you need to do is establish your why, because if you don't have a good why, then nothing else is going to work. Second tip is the brand. What is your brand? We did a great episode earlier this week with Mary Maloney. And in that, we talked about this methodology called story brand. You can go to storybrand.com, my story brand. You can build your own story brand. But the brand is really important. So what is your brand? What are you trying to accomplish with this? We've had a ton of guests on this show that talk about, who've talked about really how to hone in and identify what your unique niche is. What is your brand? Mark Shelby talked about being the best brokerage in a particular portion in condo sales of San Francisco, for example. We've had agents come on and talk about how they leverage their pro surfing career, and that was part of their brand. So what are you going to be known for? Now, as we started this channel, our why was really driven as a consequence of COVID, if I'm being honest. We wanted new and better ways to talk to our customers. I was working at home, as we still are today, and I felt like this was a good chance for us to get some of our ideas, to bring on thought leaders. That was our why, and that has become, frankly, our brand, which is a potpourri of different kinds of content that's going to teach you how to use our products better and help you learn from industry experts and maybe understand some topics in the market. So your why may be very different. You may be covering a very specific market and talking about market updates, talking about new construction, talking about new tips for home buyers. Whatever it might be, you need to establish your brand. The third tip here is critically important. And it only is successful if you've established your why in your brand, and that is to commit. So we had a guest on recently, Alec Hansen, and Alec Hansen, he committed to something. He said, I'm going to make 100 videos in 100 days. I'm going to do 12 podcasts in 12 months. Whatever it is, you need to commit to it. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. You're now watching episode 65 of this show, right? 65 episodes. That took a commitment, and it continues to take commitment to create this kind of content. In fact, one of the things that I've learned about YouTube is the more content you create, the better. Now, does that mean that you can create terrible content? Absolutely not. You need to be creating great content, but the more of that content, that regularity, that predictability helps a lot. So commit. So write down what you're going to commit to. Are you going to create a video a day for 90 days? Are you going to create a video a week for 12 months? Whatever it is, you need to commit to that goal. Next tip for today is to share. So these channels don't build themselves, unfortunately. It's not as if we just started creating content and magically thousands of people started watching it. It doesn't work like that. There's a ton of content on YouTube. And by the way, these tips frankly apply to Facebook Lives or YouTube Lives or whatever content or whatever platform you prefer or makes the most sense for your audience. We found that YouTube is a great content platform for engagement, whereas Facebook might be a little bit better for brand awareness. The engagement time that we see on YouTube is 10 times more than what we see on Facebook. And so for us, this was the platform of choice. But share. You have to take this channel, you have to share it, put it in your email signature, send out emails to your sphere. Make sure that you're using all of the channels, Instagram, Facebook, etc., to drive awareness of this and the great content that you're creating. Again, great content. It has to be good content. You have to have something to say, and that speaks to your why and the brand that you're building. So make sure that you share the channel. Any opportunity you get, you can respond to comments and you can put in your channel that are about other topics, right? If it's relevant, you can use it in your email newsletters. You can put it on social media. You have to get the word out. So make sure that you share. The next tip for today is to engage. What does engage mean? So engage for me means that you have to be diligent about responding to every single comment that you get. So now 65 episodes into this show, I personally respond to every comment. It could just be a, hey, great episode, and I'll say, thanks for joining, right? Or it could be a question that you have to take time and research and give a thoughtful answer to. Getting that two-way dialogue going, getting the conversations happening is really important. And you want your early viewers in particular, until it gets to a point where maybe it's not tenable, although I'd argue maybe that point doesn't exist, they have to know that there's someone on the other side of this. If you've spoken to them about a particular market and they have a question and you can be responsive to them, you can respond, you can give them a thoughtful answer, that's going to continue to help grow engagement on your channel. So engage. Speaking of growth, the next tip here is to grow. You have to be able to monitor the growth of your channel. So look at where your subscribers are coming. And again, if this content is interesting, I can go into a lot more detail about this, but you have to commit to growing your channel. What's happening in the first week, in the first month, in the first 2 months? Are people discovering your channel? Are the other channels of communication that you're using working, right? So are people coming in off of your email newsletter? At ListReports, we have a big advantage, frankly, in our channel. We have a lot of users, and so we have opportunities to show this content to our users and to bring them in from multiple areas. For you, it might start small. You might have 100 people on an email newsletter that you send out. Add this content to that newsletter, and if the content is good, it's going to start to spread. It's going to start to grow, but you have to monitor those key metrics. And the last tip I have for today is a real simple one, and it's evaluate. What do I mean by evaluate? What I'm talking about is this may or may not be the right platform for you. This may or may not be the right medium for you. But if you've committed to this, if you've given this a fair shot at finding success, then what you need to do at the end of that period, and let's say that you say, I'm going to commit 3 months to creating 3 videos per week. Okay, that's great. At the end of that period, evaluate. Are you getting the return that you want on this? Is the channel growing? Are people engaging? Are you reaching people in ways that are actually meaningful? That's the point where you can evaluate, and frankly, you can make a decision to not continue, or maybe you make a decision to double down. For me, and at ListReports, the way that we look at this show is, I have this term, I call it the multiplier effect. So what I think about is, for every hour that I spend creating content, how many hours of engagement do I get? So this is a sunk cost, right? If I make this episode and 1 person watches it, or if I make this episode and 10,000 people watch it, it didn't cost me anything. I already spent the time. I already invested the time to create the episode. So what I look at is that multiplier effect growing. For every hour that I spend, am I getting 20 hours of engagement or 50 or 100? Some of our best episodes are 200 hours of engagement on an hour of my time. And that's amazing, right? You can think about that as, I don't know, giving a 30-minute webinar to 400 people. That's a great thing, and that's how I personally look at the success of this channel, is from an engagement perspective, not from a vanity perspective. So I'm less interested in this show about having tens of thousands of subscribers. If they're not engaging, it doesn't matter. This is all about engagement. So again, those points are: find your why. Why are you doing this? Why might this be a good platform for you? Establish your brand. Why are you doing this? Who are you? What do you want to be known for? An area expert, new construction agent, first-time home buyer, whatever it is. What is the brand that you're building? Maybe you have a background in economics and you approach everything from that perspective, or you have a particular community that has an affinity for you because of something you've done in the past. That becomes part of your brand. Commit. Again, pick a period of time. It could be, 1 or 2 or 3 months. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's probably, frankly, not going to be enough for you to learn anything. So you're going to have to decide whether or not to commit to this. Share. Get this channel out there. If you set up a channel, start to share it. Leverage all of the communication channels that you have to make sure that you drive awareness that this channel exists and that you're creating content. Engage. Make sure that you're responding to every single comment that somebody makes. Engage your audience. Prompt them to comment. Talk to them in the channel. Other people read those comments and they're going to see that you're responsive, that you care about what you're doing, that this isn't something that's just sort of on the side, that you're actually committed to doing this. Grow the channel. Monitor the growth of that channel. Look at the metrics around your channel and see how it's doing over that initial period of time that you're committing to. And then at the end of that, evaluate. Determine if this is the right platform for you, if this is the right type of content for you. If you've given it enough time, coming into the end of it, you might say, I'm going to double down. Or you might say that this isn't the right platform for me. So this episode is really kind of a primer. This is very high level, but it's meant to get you thinking as to whether or not a platform like YouTube is right for you, and if you should start creating content for your sphere on YouTube and get it out there. So go through each one of these points and try to answer them. Why would I do this? Why do I want to do this? Maybe you've already thought about it. Maybe you haven't. What is your brand? Who are you? And then commit, share, engage, grow, evaluate, and then you can repeat that cycle or you can move on to something else. So again, very high level today, but I want to hear from you. Is this interesting? Because we can do a lot of episodes, a series of episodes going to each one of these in much more detail to help you, sort of master this craft. As I've said from the beginning, we're new to this, right? We're not pros, but we're learning a lot, right? Now, 65 episodes deep into this, we've learned a lot about what this means to our business, how much work it takes to do, and we can tell you what the tools that we're using are, the software, the cameras, all of that stuff. Frankly, it's on a phone, right? We're still shooting this on the phone that I carry in my pocket every day. So a lot of this stuff is very accessible and isn't very expensive. So please, I want to hear from you. Comment below. Let us know if this is something that you want to learn more about, and we will continue to create content around this, build a series around it, and we can continue to grow and learn together. All right, everybody. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.